Building muscle actually made me depressed. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, especially on this channel, but hear me out because I want to offer two different perspectives. So far on this channel, we talked about how building muscle actually changed my life, helped me build confidence, it allowed me to actually get a grip on my nutrition, made me understand more about my body. Definitely a lot of pros associated with it. However, a lot of people don't talk about the cons in terms of mental health, especially within a digital age, social media sort of society that we're in. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I had an encounter with one of you guys. And this happens quite frequently, by the way. And that is whenever I'm either in the gym or outside the gym, I'll either get this comment: you look a lot bigger in person, or you look a lot smaller in person, right? So far, it's about a 60-40, with 60% saying that I look bigger in person and 40% saying that, you know, I look smaller in person. And I've noticed that they say that I look bigger in person whenever I'm at the gym and I have a pump, versus if somebody catches me outside in normal clothes, no pump, natural lighting, you know, just how it is, right? And I'm used to these comments. They really don't hurt my feelings whatsoever. But after that interaction, and this literally happened a week ago, it actually got me thinking in terms of like self-worth, in terms of my identity, in terms of how much muscle is enough, in terms of other people's expectations. It really got me curious. And then that reminded me that though I've only showed the positive things about building muscle, mentally there's some like negative things associated with not only being an influencer, but also just the fact of going through a process, a natural process of building muscle. And within this video, I wanna dive into some of those points. Now, the first one is the fact that it's just simply never enough muscle. This goes deeper into the hedonic cycle, or the hedonic treadmill that we naturally have within our biology, meaning that once we accomplish something, we're no longer excited or happy about what we have accomplished or gotten. We get used to it. You can associate this with muscle, you can associate this with money, you can associate this with new materialistic items, you can associate this with going out on vacation and or living in your dream area or even your dream home. We eventually get used to the things we have, and inevitably we always want more. So what happens when you get to a point where you're making muscle building progress year 1, year 2, year 3, and you get to a point as a natural athlete where the progress tends to stop and halt? You start to question, should I stay natural? Or what really am I training for at this point in time? It just becomes a different feeling. And that's also why I really enjoyed the first few years of training specifically, is because the progress was just so fast. Like, imagine waking up every day and you're seeing like new veins, you're seeing like a new bicep peak, you're seeing like more striations and cuts, right? It's definitely a great feeling. But once you've seen that over and over again, you start to sort of get used to it. And at this point of my weightlifting, bodybuilding, calisthenics sort of journey or career and lifestyle, I had to come to a point of acceptance of the amount of muscle that I do have, and for that reason start to reshift and reprioritize my goals and not really associate my personal self-worth on how much muscle that I have. And I feel like, especially with me being in the fitness industry, and I'm sure other creators will say this too, is that since you post so many shirtless pictures of yourself, and obviously you're talking about fitness, it seems like other people value your self-worth based upon what your body fat percentage is, how much muscle you hold, etc. Now, going back to the topic of depression, this can actually set somebody down a path of just negative mindsets and or just quit working out altogether, because they ask themselves, what is the purpose? What is the point of this? I already accomplished what I have. I'm not getting any bigger, you know, and overall it can not be the best for your mental health. Let's just put it like that. So what I found is that not only don't want to tie my identity to how much muscle that I do have, but I want to train for the right reasons. And training for the right reasons means for health purposes, to not be weak, to overall look great, and to be healthy. Once I figured that out, that's when my mind started to reframe, and overall I started feeling more positive about working out. And even though I'm not making that much muscle building progress, there's still other ways I can improve. Now guys, obviously I'm a big advocate of taking care of your mental health, and we're gonna talk about some ways you can do that here soon. But first, I wanna talk about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is probably the easiest way to get started with therapy, and the best part is all done online. All you gotta do is fill out a questionnaire, and within a few days, you're matched with a licensed professional who resonates with your needs. needs. Now, with the vast network of therapists specializing in multiple areas, BetterHelp makes therapy accessible and affordable for everybody. Personally, I think therapy can be a great way to communicate your problems, especially if you don't have a big support group around you. And I know with the modern culture of social media, working from home, a lot of people, men included, really don't have a big support group around them. If you're anything like me, you probably have to force yourself to be social in order to have that sort of connection with other people, or you can just talk to your dog too. But for the most part, as humans, we need to have social connection. And if you don't have that, especially if you're dealing with mental health problems, online therapy is actually a great way to help relieve that. And as you see, everybody has their own internal struggles, including myself. So if you're ready to start your therapy journey, visit my link down below at betterhelp.com/Austin Dunham. By using that link, not only are you gonna help support the channel, but you're also gonna get 10% off your first month. Once again, that's gonna be betterhelp.com/Austin Dunham. Check them out. I'll leave a link down below the video. Now, back to the video. Now, one thing we have to mention in this video is definitely the social media comparison. What I've realized is that a great physique like 10 years ago nowadays is considered average, and it really makes people have extreme body dysmorphia, especially if you spend a lot of time on social media. You're seeing these ripped top tier physiques, people who are either not natural and lying about it, and or have the perfect pump, the perfect lighting, the perfect camera, the perfect everything to create this ideal image, and you yourself are looking at it. Though it can be inspiration, it can actually be quite negative for your mental health, I'm not gonna lie, especially if you hold a lot of weight and a lot of your personal worth and identity towards your physique, which nowadays I find that a lot of men do. So for that reason, me personally, I've stopped consuming fitness content. On Instagram, I don't really create fitness content like that. Every now and then I'll post like a shirtless picture, you know, I'm feeling looking good, but even now, that's actually very rare. More so nowadays, I'm posting like style pictures. I'm talking about other topics outside of just fitness. And I'm definitely not consuming a lot of fitness content on Instagram specifically like I used to. And that's mostly because, like I said, I found that not only is it bad for your mental health, but also like the dynamics of Instagram fitness to me just don't really resonate with how I believe fitness really is. I don't believe like people should be doing different workouts every single day, though, you know, that gets into a whole other talking point of working out versus training. But the point is, mostly everybody has some sort of body dysmorphia, and body dysmorphia has persistently gotten worse throughout the years. And I have a theory that anybody who trains specifically for aesthetics and to look better, you at some point or to some degree have body dysmorphia. Now, I'm not here to complain in this video whatsoever. I'm all about finding solutions. So I found that the solution in terms of body dysmorphia is once again to slowly stop consuming social media fitness, but to also only make comparisons to yourself. Compare your beginner self or the person who just started fitness versus where you're at now, and I promise you there's probably going to be a huge transformation. Even me myself, I've come to a point where my transformation, my after, has now became another before. So if you're reaching multiple transformations within your journey, at some point you got to practice gratitude. At some point you got to look in the mirror and be like, yo, I've came a long way. Not only am I healthy, but I feel good. I'm actually a lot stronger than I was, because at the end of the day, it's not about being huge. It's really just about not being weak. I'll say it again. It's not about being huge. You just don't want to be weak. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, one last thing I have to address in this video is the idea of these yo-yo diets, bulking, cutting, etc. I've also found that not only from a training perspective, but also from a nutritional perspective, it could also be bad on your mental health if you're doing extreme dieting, if you're doing back and forth bulks and cuts and things like that. I found that me personally, it just doesn't fit well with my lifestyle. I've tried it multiple times. I tried to stay consistent. I was tracking for a long time, especially on my bulk as I was building muscle. And I found just overall, it's just not worth it. For me specifically, it might be different for you, but for me, I found it's just simply not worth it. And here's the reason why. First off, whenever I'm bulking, yes, I'm probably building a little bit of muscle. Yes, I feel more fuller. Yes, I feel more stronger. But at the same time, me having to force food in my face all day, just not a good way to go about the day, in my opinion. I don't believe that's like healthy and or a consistent long-term thing you can do. And me personally, I don't like doing anything that I can't do consistently for a long period of time. That's also why I decided to stay natural, is because I understand that hopping on testosterone is a temporary pleasure relief and it's not permanent. Now, alongside with that, from an image perspective, I started hating the way that I looked. Though I knew I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, I don't like the idea of being flabby. I didn't like the way my face looked, you know, and I hold a lot of weight in terms of my image in other areas outside of my physique. And I found that I need a perfect balance between looking good in other areas while also still maintaining like a relatively good physique. And I found the best way for me to do that is to still track my calories in a good way, just to understand what I'm eating and how much, but to mostly not go on these cuts and bulks back and forth unless I'm just trying to lose fat for something real quick. Then I can do that. I can go on a 2-3 week cut. But besides that, just pretty much like maintenance and focusing on other things. Now, I've said this before in the past, but I always found myself going back to like a bulk phase or whatever, only because I'm influenced by other physiques on social media to build more muscle. Once again, that's why comparison is overall just horrible for your mental health, and it has been horrible for me because I always second guess myself. I question what I'm doing, then I revert back to what I actually want to do. All right, so hopefully in this video, I've offered different perspectives. And like I said, there's definitely a lot more pros and cons in terms of building muscle, but just keep these things in mind within the video. And let me know down below if you have ever experienced any of this. Also, don't forget to check out today's sponsor, BetterHelp, down below. You can use my code for 10% off your first month. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.